This broadcast was made by sympathizers of the French government in the Second World War with the intent of informing all French brothers and sisters, and/or individuals who support the call to action against the Nazi menace.
Welcome to the 15th edition of La Sceptique Française. Thank you for tuning in today, and without much ado, let's get to our first headline story of the night. Now, will the glorious France succumb to German aggression? That seems to be the question on everyone's mind today. Now, just last month, Germany's expansionary actions led them to taking over both Norway and Denmark. And unsurprisingly, at the beginning of this very event-filled month of May, we witnessed multiple opportunistic strikes by the Germans who made a very valiant attempt to expand into the glorious nation of France. Now, according to British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, both the BEF, or the British Expedition Forces, and the French First Army, or the FFA, will take a collaborative venture in Germany on May 10th. And now, this has seemed to receive extreme amounts of cohesion, not only from the people of France, but also from the national community. Now, it seemed as though this would be an extremely effective measure in order to cripple the German army in its tracks, and both parties have seemed militarily prepared enough. Both the BEF and the FFA seem that they have enough potential to attack the German army and stop it in its tracks. However, unfortunately, to much disdain, much has changed over the course of just these few short weeks. After routing both the French and the British armies, the Germans captured both Boulogne and Calais, and gained much intel concerning the plans of both of the British and the French armies. Now, when Hitler gained much ground on these accessible frontiers, both the French and the British troops began to fall back, and their falling back has only increased rapidly over the past 2 weeks. With the Battle of Dunkirk right now in full swing, is there any hope for the people of France? That seems to be the question that every single individual of France and the world is asking today. Here we have some exclusive footage straight from the Battle of Dunkirk. Now, many individuals, not only in France, but also across the world, believe that the government's current initiative when it comes to the war is extremely lacking, and that without any legitimate action, the government risks further endangering its already vulnerable French people. Now, one such believer is the veteran and Secretary of War, Charles-André Joseph Marie de Gaulle. As it stands, the Nazi scourge continues to gain headway into the French territory, but Charles de Gaulle seems to be the one person who has a legitimate understanding of the Nazi threats, entry into France, and potential methods of deterring them. And now, with his impressive qualifications, he firmly believes that not dealing with the Nazi threat will only lead to consequences of dire proportions in the future. And we're here privileged to have him on our show today.
Thank you for your time, Monsieur de Gaulle. It's a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure to be with you today.
What are your views regarding the Battle of Dunkirk?
Well, unfortunately, the answer I'm going to have to give you is one out of sheer desperation. For Le Monde Francophone, German involvement in France has blown out of France, and much like Poland, Norway, and Denmark before us, if we don't take a firm stance against the Huns, we may be forced to sign an armistice with them as soon as next month. Now it is time for national solidarity. Germany has gained an upper hand in this war because of their garnering of such solidarity. If we, like the Germans, don't stand together, all of our war efforts will be in vain.
What will France's plan of action be?
Right now, the BEF and the FFA are working together on a secret operation named Dynamo in order to help rescue Allied troops from the frontier of Dunkirk. It is already very evident that Dunkirk is a lost cause to us. The German troops could practically lay down their arms and they would still take over that frontier. But we still have the opportunity to reach out and save as many troops as possible. And that opportunity we are seizing. Future plans to deter German aggression will obviously be underway, but that is our current plan of operation.
Thank you, Monsieur de Gaulle.
Thank you.
That was General de Gaulle of the French army sparing his time for us today. With the death toll in France and the rest of Europe growing day by day, it is absolutely true that the Germans are becoming far more of a menace than they have ever been in just these 2 decades. Much like what General de Gaulle mentioned, now is the time for national solidarity and unity. So come together and ensure your support for the French army. This is La Skeptique Français, and we thank you for your loyalty to our broadcasting service. Tune in on the next edition, May 30th at 7 p.m.